Hey everybody, my name is IsaacB28, and today I want to give you guys my first video essay. I worked on it for a very long time, so I hope you enjoy. In May of 1991, 30 years ago in Chicago, Illinois, Jason Jones and Alex Serapian founded Bungie Software Products, which would go on to become Bungie Studios, a video game developing company known for creating two successful game franchises, Marathon and Myth. In 1999, Bungie began working on a game that was more or less a prototype, and would in the coming years unknowingly change the console shooters forever. This game, of course, was Halo. In 2000, Microsoft bought Bungie and became their parent company. This was to get them to make a game to spearhead the new Xbox, set to launch in November of next year. The first game, Halo Combat Evolved, released on November 15th, 2001, the same day as the console itself. People bought it in droves because of the Halo novel Fall of Reach, which was written and published a short time before launch, and also because of the fact that it was a new and innovative console for its time, of course. And fortunately for Bungie, it was a success. It perfectly blended difficulty in the campaign, especially on Legendary. The multiplayer maps had great design, and everything was intricately created, from the design of the Master Chief, the saga's main character, to the design of the grunts, cannon fodder you fight across all of the games as the Chief. Microsoft, on the other hand, wanted more, and the development of Halo 2 began. Halo 2 was destined to be greater than its predecessor, and as we know today, it's up there as one of the greatest Halo games, but this title did not undergo development as smoothly as one would hope. Mostly everything wrong in Halo 2 was recognized by Bungie themselves, and it was reasonable. They had huge ambitions for the game, and it only got partially fulfilled due to time constraints. For example, one of the consequences was the absurd difficulty of the campaign on Legendary. But the maps, again, were simply just incredible. Of course, I'm talking about the multiplayer maps. And the campaign had an interesting dual point of view, switching between the Arbiter, Master Chief's Covenant counterpart, and the fabled Chief himself. The Arbiter's point of view showed how the Covenant was structured politically, and how their defeat in the first game was a huge blow to morale. The citizens of the Covenant wanted justice for a religious artifact being blown up by one human on a runaway spacecraft. The Master Chief's point of view, on the other hand, showed the massive victory ceremony on an orbital defense platform above Earth. The battle won on Halo was obviously a huge morale boost for the United Nations Space Command, and the humanity at the same time. It showed that the formidable force known as the Covenant could in fact be defeated. Following Halo 2's abrupt cliffhanger was the release of Halo 3 in 2007, under the headline, Finish the Fight. Appropriate because this was the official end of the Bungie saga of Halo games, up until Halo reaches inevitable release. The game starts with Master Chief plummeting to Earth like an asteroid, and monologue from Cortana, the AI chick who's been spouting commands in your ears ever since Halo Combat Evolved. After this beginning cutscene, the Chief and Arbiter, who have switched sides, finally meet and save Sergeant Johnson, a Marine who has also been with you since 2001 from the Covenant Brutes. After this mission, you try to find out why the Covenant are on Earth before a massive portal opens and the UNSC launch a full-scale attack and follow the Covenant through. They find the Ark, a massive Halo control room that controls every single Halo ring in the galaxy to destroy all life from a zombie species, the Flood, by starving them. On the Ark, elite and human forces band together to hunt down the final leader of the Covenant, the Prophet of Truth. In the mission, The Covenant, you feel a true sense of scale in this conflict, as Chief steps out of a Pelican and rushes through waves of Covenant forces to finally find and kill the Prophet of Truth. Once Chief and Arbiter find Truth, Arbiter silences him once and for all, ending Arbiter's business with the Covenant permanently. Chief embarks on a new quest to save Cortana from the Flood. In the next mission, he slaughters hordes of the zombie parasite in order to rescue the virtual damsel in distress. And once he does, and they're reunited, he has yet one final mission: to destroy the replacement for the Halo ring we destroyed in the first game. So, on a Warthog with Arbiter riding in the backseat turret, Chief drives from the control room in which he tried to self-destruct the ring into the Forward Unto Dawn, a UNSC frigate that they jump into with barely any time left as the ring destroys itself. However, it sustains heavy damage, and the Arbiter and Chief are separated as the ship is torn in half. Chief's half is devoid of life. It's just him and Cortana. Meanwhile, Arbiter's half returns to Earth. Chief steps into a cryotube reminiscent of the one we can step out of in Combat Evolved, and says to Cortana these words that can stick with someone for a very long time: "Wake me when you need me." Halo 3's little brother ODST bridges the gap between the battle on Earth and Halo 2 and the battle on Earth on Halo 3. And it's a great game in its own right, but it deserves its own video. Halo Reach, Bungie's final Halo game, takes place a little before Halo Combat Evolved and follows a not-so-similar storyline to the novel Fall of Reach. And it follows Noble Team, a squad of 6 Spartan 3s, Kat, George, Emil, Carter, June, and Noble 6, the protagonist. The story consists of loss after loss, defeat after defeat, at every corner. While you're just as deadly as ever, you can't stop the Covenant. You cannot change the course of the battle. The player sits there not relishing in victory, but in shock after experiencing Spartans die. Spartans, by the way, who were once thought to be invincible killing machines, dead in ways that are almost too easy. Not even Spartans survive a war like this. It's easy to forget just how mortal you are when served with a power fantasy like Halo, and Halo Reach was probably a rude awakening for a lot of fans. George sacrifices himself to destroy a huge Covenant warship, but it doesn't matter as a massive fleet comes in and destroys every single one of the UNSC's defenses over Reach. And Kat is killed abruptly with a single needle rifle shot to the head, leaving her body lifeless. June leaves off-world to escort Dr. Catherine Halsey, an Oni scientist responsible for the Spartan 2 program. Carter also sacrifices himself by ramming into a Scarab to allow Emil and Noble 6 to escort a package, this package being Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, the ship from Halo Combat Evolved. Emil mans a mass-accelerated cannon, MAC for short, to kill Covenant cruisers attacking the Autumn as it leaves, but he gets ambushed by elites and dies. But of course the badass he is does not go down without a fight. He takes those split lips with him. Now it is you, the player. One final objective as the lone wolf: surviving. The Autumn leaves without you. You make your final stand against an infinite horde of Covenant, and once you cannot fight, you are given a cutscene of Noble 6 taking off their helmet and continuing the fight, before being killed somewhat off-camera. After this grisly scene, you are presented with one last monologue from Dr. Halsey, a eulogy to Noble 6, and it goes as follows. It didn't take long for Reach to fall. Our enemy was ruthless, efficient, but they weren't nearly fast enough. For you had already passed the torch, and because of you, we found Halo, unlocked its secrets, shattered our enemy's resolve. Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it. But you belong to Reach now, and your body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass, except your courage. That you gave to us, and with it, we can rebuild. Thank you for listening to my first video essay. It was an absolute blast writing it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more, trust me, I will keep making them. However, my next video will be gameplay of Halo Infinite, hopefully coming out next week or later this week. This has been Isaac P28, and I will see you guys next time. However, leaving you with just a little bit of the music that was playing in the background. Thank you guys for watching.